So hey there guys, welcome to this new video, and this is also a live stream, so holla to the people in the stream. Keep right on to everybody. So the first bit what we're going to talk about is going to be on Karanka. Obviously new manager syndrome, new manager comes in, has to change quite a lot of things, and with that comes issues possibly, and also things that need to be sorted out as he's a new manager. With the new manager, he needs to bring in his own lineup. He needs to change what it looks like, and obviously you can see on the screen just over there is FIFA, but this is a lineup that I think is a realistic lineup that we could get for next season, and that will be spoken about later in the stream. We were supposed to be able to get someone else into the stream, but he was unable to make it to today's stream. So first, obviously, was Karanka. Karanka, I think, is a good manager. I think he's definitely going to be a positive outcome for the club. I feel like he needs to be given more than a week to be judged on, more than a season possibly. As first season, there's always issues, and it's the fresh look of the team, and everything has to be changed to a new manager's style, and hopefully he's given enough time by the board to implement his style and his players into the team to make it a different quality team, and be able to bring back the stuff that he did at Middlesbrough and Forest. As at Middlesbrough, he got them up into the Premier League, getting them actually promoted, and also at Forest he got them into 7th place, and also was pushing at that point possibly to get into the playoffs. Would have been an arguable good position for them to finish in. So yeah, I think Karanka's certainly a good appointment, and he'll help us move forward in the future. The second thing is we've had many links in the market, and coming with links obviously is the ideas of new formations, players who we might think about that have gone with a manager before, such as Adoma and Ayala and Adam Clayton. These kind of players, we've been linked with a few of them, and it's been nice to be linked with these players, and hopefully we can sign a couple of them, because in my eyes one of the best signings we could make is a good centre half, and one of the main signings we need to make is a good centre half. And in the team at the moment, I don't feel like we have a leader. Harley Dean is the captain, and I don't feel like he's enough of a leader to run the team, run the show, run how we're going to play. Yeah, so I think that there's a few issues with that, and I feel like we need to bring in a leader and a centre half who can do both roles. I think that Ayala would certainly be a good player for that. He's not on the youngest side of players, but I think he could help solidify the defensive lineup and be that class above who's been experienced in the position, and he's pushed on with Karanka before and he's good friends with him. We've been linked with Adoma. Now, I'd be happy-ish with the Adoma link. I'd be happy with signing Adoma if he was a backup. What I feel like we really need is another Bella, but for the other side. We need a pacey, younger kind of player who's going to push down the wings and put pressure on the opposition's defence to put the ball into the middle for Juki to head in, or be able to volley in from whoever else is signed as a striker, as that's another position we desperately need a player now. So we definitely need a winger. We need to be looking at one at least, possibly even two, to have that position locked down a bit. Adoma wouldn't be the worst as a backup, but he's not experienced enough for me to be well, he's experienced enough but too old, so he hasn't got as much pace and willingness as other players. Defensive midfield, as he would be playing the 4-2-3-1 formation, is what's expected by our fans. The two defensive midfielders. Now, we do have a couple. I would say Sunyak's definitely got to be one that you've got to keep and try and put in that position. And on the other side, I would say you could possibly sign someone, or you could use what you've already got, because you do already have other players who could play that position. You do have the Kifton Bell and the McEachrons of the team. McEachron is a good player. He's got decent passing ability. He's got decent pace, and he's not that worst at tackling either. But the only issue with him is he comes with a massive amount of injury proneness. A player being injury prone is not great to have them as your ideal man to play in a position. Kiftemel, he's moving on into the older stages of his career now. And Kieft, he's a good player at tackling. He's a solid midfielder. He's a fan man, and he's certainly not the worst player to have in that role. And I would say he's certainly a decent player to have there, and wouldn't be the worst for next season. Now, another player we've been linked with that could sit into that team is Moat. Now, Moat for Barnsley is a good player, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to get him via the funds. Simply that the funds, I think they'll be asking a bit more than I would be paying. I would be paying probably up to 2 million, 2.5. They'll probably want 4, 5, possibly even 6 kind of money. And I would say that's not even vaguely touchable for a club like us. Now, another position that we now need a player, because another bit that I was going to speak about next was Lee Camp leaving, and how we now have Connell Truman as our number 1 currently, and he's possibly going out on loan. So we may even have a youth player in Jaycock as our number 1 currently. So Lee Camp's been a solid servant to the club for a couple of years. He's helped us through some good times. He's done some bad things as well, but he'll be remembered for his charisma, his ability on Football Manager in that EFL Cup. He brought his likeness from the club up quite a lot, and yeah, so that definitely boosted him as a player at the club, and a lot of people liked him for his charisma and stuff. But losing him is kind of a big loss, because I think he would have been a decent backup for another season at least, possibly even 2. He wouldn't be the worst. So you've got quite a few goalkeepers who are out there as possible signings. I've gone with Jason Steele. I think Jason Steele is a realistic buy for the club. I think he's a realistic man to come in. Now, a lot of people have slagged him off in the past, and obviously, just like Camp when he was at Sunderland, he was not highly rated. He was not really wanted. But I think he could do. Yes, I think he could do bits at the club. I think he could do quite well, and I expect there is a lot of goalkeepers out there who could be realistic buys, and I mean, if you guys want to look at any, I don't know if you can see on Twitter there, Blues Breakdown have done a list of goalkeepers who are without a club. Joe Hart, Lucas Zidane, Claudio Bravo, Michel Vorm, and the clubs they've been at. And there's quite a few goalkeepers in there, so there's definitely some realistic buys. I mean, Adam Lesins, who we used to have, is in there. I would quite like Lucas Zidane, but I don't think it's going to happen, being an ex-Real Madrid goalkeeper. So yeah, and obviously another position that we need to be looking at signing a player for is striker. 1 second. Up front, I went with the option of Oliver Burke. I think he's a realistic player to bring in on loan, possibly even maybe sign him. I think he's also a player who could possibly do that wing role quite well and help put pressure on opponents with his pace. I certainly think he would be a decent signing. Whether he would be good enough to be a number one striker is arguable. Now, looking onto my bench and kind of backups that I would like to see being used this season, is you've obviously got Truman in there as a backup goalkeeper, because at the moment we have no goalkeepers really, and Truman is kind of the main player, the solidified player who may end up staying. You've got Bajrami in there, got Harley Dean in there, so they're 3 players I'd like to see stay at the club. Because I mean, I'm not Harley's biggest fan, but if we could get him to stay as a backup, he certainly would not be the worst backup in the world. You got Steve Seddon. Now, he was out on loan last season. He's come back off loan. He played quality football for Portsmouth, and they were desperate to sign him. Their fans were. They highly thought of him. They thought he was a big talent. Now, I think he should at least be given a chance in the first team. Not really to play, but more to get time on the pitch off the bench. Obviously, we have Pedersen, who's a high-class quality player, and also coming with that is the links of transfers for Pedersen, who, I mean, he's been linked with Watford the past couple of transfer windows, and it's a possibility that he may end up leaving, and that obviously would bring stress to us quite a bit, as if we lost him, we'd have to sign another player, and he's been a solid player in our lineup for quite a while now. But yeah, I think he's another player who could definitely be given a chance, is Seddon. And then there's Odin Bailey by the side of him. I think that Odin Bailey is a quality player. I think he's young, he's talented, and he could become something special. And he could help the team, definitely. He could help pressure players into possibly playing better than they normally do. Who knows? But at the same time, he's definitely a young talent who needs some time out on the pitch in our first team to be able to help his development skills move on a bit. So that, and then another player who I heard is possibly available is Surridge. Now, Surridge is a player we've been linked with a couple of times, and a player who I thought would sign for us a couple of times, to be honest. I think he would not be the worst signing in the world as a backup. And he obviously also comes with a slight lack of pace, but he's great up in the air. He's not a bad finisher either. And if we could get him in, he'd certainly be a solid backup for Duke. By the side of him, you've got Fran Villalba. Now, this is an interesting one to talk about, as Fran is a good player, and he's a talented player, but he hadn't really got it under Clotet, and as we just had a comment there saying they love Fran Valauba, so that was perfectly well timed. But Fran is a decent quality player who could definitely come on and be able to show his talents under Karanka for me, and I think he is a possible player for the Dan Crowley role on the pitch. But aside of him, obviously you've got Kifton Bad McEachran. They're two solid lineup players. They deserve to be in the squad. You've got Harding by the side of them. He's not the oldest player, but not the youngest either. He needs to grow in the next couple of years to be able to make a first team squad for me. And the final player is Charlie Lakin in the squad that I can make on FIFA, because obviously you're limited on that. No, I think Charlie Lakin also needs to be given some time out on the pitch, just off the bench for a couple of games even, just to show his talents and see what he can do, because last time he was playing for us he played quite well. We sent him out on loan, he played well, he's come back. It's beginning to be a bit of a trend of sending players out on loan, coming back, sending players out on loan, getting rid of them. So it could be his year to get into the squad, who knows. I do think so too, Bastian. Obviously guys on YouTube can't see the comments, so I've got to read them out. Said Lakin is quality. I think he's a quality little player. I think he certainly has talent, he has the ability, and if we give him the opportunities, he might be able to do it in the first team. Obviously one other player who I didn't speak about is in centre half. There he is, Jake Clark-Salter. Now, for me, Clark-Salter is a player that I would definitely go in for, as I think he is going to be something special in the future. And with him being here for a year, he knows the club, he knows the fans, he knows what we think, he knows everything about us after being with the club for a year. And I think that he's definitely a player who will probably go out on loan again, at least from Chelsea. I don't think he'll be in Chelsea's first team for another season at least. And if he can get some time at Blues, maybe sign for us, he'll be a first team player straight away. I know what I'd do. And Orestio Rax has just said that Burke is decent. I think he's a decent player. I certainly think he's bench quality for us if we could sign him, at least. I think he could do things to assist the team lineup massively. Now, next on my list of things to talk about are loan players that are returning. So, from loan players that are returning, you have quite a few now. You've got Seddon, you've got Valauba, you've got Bailey. You've got quite a few. And Medina, and there's someone else too, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think there's a few of them that definitely need to be given a go. It'll be interesting to see if Valauba is sold to Spain this year, sold back to Spain rather than loaned, as we wouldn't really want to fully lose the money on him. But I think that Valencia have quite a big clause in his sale contract, like about 70% or something ridiculous like that, I've heard, that the funds of the next transfer go to them, so they would get a huge chunk of the funds, but I don't think that it's worth just letting his contract run out, being out on loan. You're better off getting $1 million of total funds than nothing, in my eyes. But if he's not going to be sold to Spain, I would definitely be putting him back in the squad. Seddon I've spoken about, and Bailey I've spoken about. Medina's a strange one, as Medina, I don't really know why we signed him. It kind of seemed like the two signings that we signed to learn back to Cornella were, let's help Cornella out, let's assist them with what they want to do. It was a strange transfer at the time, and it's still a strange transfer now. But that's just Blues for you, I guess. The next bit is obviously the sale of Jude Bellingham. I haven't had time to speak about this before, so this is my point in the stream where I'm going to talk about it. I think it was a good, but also possibly a slightly bad choice for Jude. I don't think he had much of a choice. I think the club said, look, we've had this money in for you, we need the money, we can get so many options with this money and pay off a lot of debts and loans and stuff like that probably with this money. And Jude, you could tell at the end of the season, didn't really want to leave. He didn't look like the kind of player that wanted to go anywhere. But now he's in Dortmund and training with the Dortmund players like Sancho and Haaland. And it's great to see him evolve into the talent he is. But I think another year at Blues would have done him well. Personally, I think if he'd got another year at Blues, he'd have grown in ability. He'd have definitely been in the first team for every game. But chance to play in Europe can't really be turned down. And 20 odd million for Blues can't be really turned down for a 16, 17-year-old. So, thanks to Jude for all he's done in the year and the money he's brought into the club. And he'll be forever remembered by the mural outside the stadium. Now, an interesting one that we haven't really heard masses about is Karanka's backroom staff. So straight onto that, Karanka's backroom staff. Now, I don't really know lots about Karanka's backroom staff, and I won't claim to. He's had a couple of different backroom staffs, but there's been 2 or 3 others that have gone with him all the way. As assistant manager, he's a coach at Newcastle, I think. He's got one of his coaches is at Leeds, another one's still at Middlesbrough. So you've got a couple of different things there that need to be sorted out. Yesterday, also on LinkedIn, I don't know if it meant anything to anyone else, but Craig Gardner changed his LinkedIn to first team coach that he was never before. So it's a interesting choice. He might be there as the first team coach. He might not. We don't know yet. You've got the Steve Spooner. You would presume would go back down to the academy, and there's also you people like Sean Rush. What would be done with them? Now I feel like the fitness this year has been massive in the players, and the pressure at the end of the season and keeping them fit. He's done a very good job. But he is a bit hot-headed as well, and I'm not sure if Karanka will keep him or not. It's a touchy subject. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes there. And talking of touchy subjects and not knowing what's going on behind the scenes, Dongren. Jean Dongren and TTA. And just before the stream, we had a tweet by Dongren. Well, actually, it was a response to someone else's tweet. See if I can get it up to the screen for you guys. JK had tweeted out saying, "Hello, my friend, Zhang Dong Ren. Let's splash the cash." He proceeds to respond with, "Do not want, GIF." So I think once again, it's him trying to play the pull over the wall over people's eyes a bit, and possibly it may also be a bit of a jokey, haha, we're not going to spend anything, and then he spends money. I don't know. But Zhao Dongren, I personally think he's done it. The first time I'll say he's done a good job with is bringing in Karanka and getting Karanka to come in, but I think he was told by higher up, you get Karanka, whatever you have to do, you get Karanka. So, how he did it, I don't know. Karanka said no multiple times, but this time he said yes. So how you would guess that they've offered him money to spend in the transfer window, but who knows? Who knows? Welcome to the new people watching the stream, by the way. And TTA, I personally want them gone. I think most Blues fans want them gone, and they're kind of a problem at the club and a pressure for the fans that we don't need. And the fact that they don't communicate much, I mean, that tweet for starters, nobody knows if he's trying to be jokey, because he doesn't tweet very often, but commonly when he does tweet, it's jokey kind of tweets that don't make sense. Yeah, so nobody knows. But I would say the best thing to do would be to get them out. Obviously, I've spoken about it now. You can see it there. Team of players we've either been linked with or I would sign and put in positions. It's all over there and all earlier in the stream if you guys want to check that bit out. And now the final bit of this stream, just to take it to a 30-minute video, I guess, is the predictions for next season. 1 minute. My predictions for next season are, at the moment, with the team we've got now, I would say a lower mid-table. The reason I would say that is I feel like even though he's been brought in during this window of uncertainty after coronavirus, I would say Karanka will bring a new manager syndrome to the team. It will be interesting to see if in the October we do get to see fans back at the ground. Because if we get to see fans back at the ground, I would personally say, yes, this will have an impact on the players. As you can see that there's definitely been a mass impact since coronavirus. I think the players have been worse, a lot worse, since coronavirus. And it's sad to see that that's how the players have been, but it's the true reality. So if we can get the fans back into the ground, even 30% of them, it will be good for us as a club, and it'll be nice to be able to welcome Karanka, kind of. But I think 5 or 6 decent signings, a decent winger, defensive midfielder, centre back, goalie, striker, I would say, and then you're looking at your upper mid tables. As I said before, I think that we need to give Karanka more than a year, as it's a completely different squad. He's bringing in a whole new squad. I mean, there was rumours that he's trying to bring in, I think it was 8 or 9 players. And if you look at the team squad, Amajir tweeted out quite an interesting tweet few days ago, or it might have been yesterday, saying that the amount of players that we had left in different positions. Shout out to Amajir. The last of the contracts for the first teamers was sorted. So it was 16 senior pros are left, with they're over 21. 9 under 21 players who have a first team appearance. 3 that have a squad number but have not played. 1 under 21 player without a squad number or a first team appearance, and 3 players are coming back from loan, and that is Medina, Guzman and Fran Valauer. So you don't have a massive squad all there, and considering they're looking at extending the 5-player substitution thing till next season, and I also think that had a big impact on us because we weren't making it at the start, and players were obviously getting more tired, and Clotet still didn't make the subs at that point, and other teams were. You need a bigger bench, you need a bigger squad, you need more pressure on your opponents with that. But that's how I'm going to end this stream. I may continue to do streams on Twitch. There may be future streams on YouTube instead. And yeah, so thank you to everyone that's come and watched this stream, and thank you to all of you watching this as a video. I would like to say thank you to you all. I'm going to end this video here. I'm just going to speak in the stream afterwards. Keep right on, guys.